Hey guys, Redline here from Team Tiny Whoop. I'm here to show you how to create a 6mm Tiny Whoop that can meow mode. And we're going to do that by using the Inductrix FPV Plus flight controller. Things you're going to need are the Inductrix FPV Plus. You can buy just the flight controller, I think from Tiny Whoop. I think they're going to be around $60. And then you're going to need a camera. And then I don't think it comes with the tail light when you buy the flight controller. So you're going to want a tail light, of course, because who doesn't like more LEDs? The frame I like to use, the cockroach frame, very durable. Insane motors are good. You can use special sauce motors, but it doesn't meow mode throughout the whole battery. If you use Insanes or higher, it can do it throughout the whole battery. To make it happen throughout the whole battery, you got to use the original canopies, the original Mullet canopies. It just has a flat back on it. It just makes the Tiny Whoop lay flatter, which has a better chance of flipping over when it's flat. You'd think it's when it's more tilted like that it would flip over easier, but it's actually opposite. If it's the more flat it is, the better the chance it's going to flip over. And with that canopy, it just raises it off the ground a little bit and has it flat, and it just flips over every time with Insane motors. Other things you're going to need is a 3D printed mount. I like the 30-degree mount, and you can get those from Tiny Whoop. Some LEDs, of course, 4 of them, some props. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is take off, there's 2 screws on top here. And then you can take off the camera. There's going to be 1 plug underneath that you disconnect. And then there's 2 more screws on the bottom. You'll unscrew those. And then this little bar comes out. And then you can take the camera out of there. And then you'll have to watch because that antenna is on the top. Just push it through the little hole there. 2 more screws on here. Make sure you save all these screws, by the way. Then you're going to disconnect the tail light that's on the back here. Just kind of rock it back and forth, it'll pop out. And then you can slide it out of its little holder there. And you want to keep that. So next thing you do is get the motors out. The best way is just getting a little screwdriver and pushing from the backs of the motor. Connectors here, you can push in and up, and they should just pop right out. You'll want these grommets, make sure you don't lose those. So next thing we're doing is kind of take off this pigtail on the board. I still use this little camera connector, just easier, so you can just take off the camera real quick if you want to. Once you pull that heat shrink off of there, you can just get some dikes, just clip off at the very bottom here. I think like the perfect amount is like if you grab a 205 battery, like just about that length is where I always cut mine. Cut those, strip them. Real quick, just some places I like to place welder's glue, which you gotta give some of this. Put it on, I always use like the end of a zip tie or something. There's already a little bit on these Inductrix Plus cameras, but you can still just throw a little bit on there, just the whole square part of that lens. And then get your canopy already kind
only done this one, but I'll just show you. I just make a circle around it. If you get it too far through or covering the hole, just grab a piece of wire or something and stick it through. That way you can get it through on the frame. Just do both sides of that, let that dry. Next thing we're going to do is tin the flight controller in positive and negative pads, both sides. Real quick with this flight controller, unlike the other ones, the positive and negatives for the motors are backwards. When you get your motors, you're going to want to swap the connections on this. So you're going to want the positive on the right side and then the negative on the left side. And when you put them in here, you're going to want the negative on the outside and the positive on the inside. So what you got to do is just get an X-Acto knife or something pointy, and you just lift up these little tabs here. Sometimes if you can't get it to go in, don't try to force it in. Just grab like some pliers or something, little tweezers, and just push them in there. But swap it around just like that. And you want to do all four of them. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is get these little LEDs off. There's 4 of them on here. There's 2 little pads on there that we're going to have to use a soldering iron to get them off. The best way is to use 2 soldering irons. So you get heat on both sides and they just pop right out of there. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to get both your soldering irons, get them on both sides, heat up both sides of the pads, and the LED just falls right off of there. Right there is going to point to the negative pad, so negative, positive. Same with the other 4 here. You can see there, so there's the negative, there's the positive. So with the LEDs, I just grab, you get 4 LEDs, your favorite colors. I got some blue ones here. To know how much you need to cut off, because it comes with a ton of wire, I just put it along my pinky here. It's about 3 inches or so, and then cut it off. That usually gives you enough room to move wherever you need to along the ducts. Very small wires. You're going to want an X-Acto knife. And you just trim just a little bit. I mean, if you look at the pads, they're really small. So you only need a little connection on there. Just kind of roll it around in your finger with the X-Acto knife. And then you should be able to get it with your nail and just kind of pull it off of there. Alright, so once you get all 4 of those and all 8 wires trimmed like that, just add some solder to it. Just real quick. Hold it there for a sec, then let go. Okay, so grab your pigtail and your frame. For these cockroach frames, my favorite place is just put pigtail in through this gap right here, if you can see that. And I always put it in through there and then solder it onto my flight controller. A lot of people just put it through this middle part, but I feel like it always gets in the way of the battery, so when you're trying to slide them in and out, it's just kind of a pain. So this is just an easier spot. Put it in through there, and then we're going to solder onto the flight controller on the bottom here. Alright, so then you'll want to get your 4 little black rubber grommets here, put them on the flight controller. Just push that down in. The little pegs there. Just watch where your LEDs are going. So they don't get smashed in there. What we're gonna do next is mount the LEDs onto the frame. I like to twist up the LEDs just so it kind of makes it a little neater look. Okay, and then what you'll do is get some welder's glue on like a zip tie and just place some in the corner here. I like to do it right where the strut meets the frame. Just on the end there. Just put a little dab there, and then just with your finger, just kind of push it into the welder's glue. It takes a little while for it to dry, and that's why if you have like some hot glue too, you can always tack it down with some of that. Just do all 4 sides. So just pull the slack on the LEDs and a little bit of hot glue. Just kind of run it down. The wires there. You could use welder's glue too. I'm just lazy and it dries a lot faster with this hot glue. I like it to stick almost all the way down to the edge of the frame there. We're going to put the motors in. Make sure that you have the wires in the right way. The black and white ones are going to be counterclockwise, the red and blue are going to be clockwise. So they turn inwards. So we want to make sure the black and white. Next, you can twist these motor wires if you want. You plug them in. I use these little orthodontic bands that I bought from Amazon. I get the 3/16" ones, and I just put those over the motor wires here. The extra slack on the motor wires, I just tuck them underneath the frame. And then I just run the wire along with the strut. Get your tail light here. Plug that in. And mount it. This is right on the very back. It's right on the edge of the frame, right in the back there. Okay, so just hold it right there with the, and then just grab your hot glue gun and just kind of smear it around all over the LED back there. Throw some props on, like the E-sheen props. Remember, the motor's going inwards, towards the front and the back. So make sure you have your props on the right way. And you can kind of push. E-sheen ones are a little bit stubborn to get them in, so you kind of push a little hard to get them seated all the way. I wanted to show you how the camera works with the LEDs and what band and channel you're set up on. So there's going to be 2 lights on here, a blue one and then a red one on this other side. When the red one is solid, that means you're on channel 1, so that would make it to channel 2 if I hit it, and the red light will go off. So you just kind of have to count as you swap. There's 3 LEDs over here and 2 on the bottom. When you hold it, that's going to switch what band you're on, and it goes A, B, E, F, then R on the bottom. To get it to go to E channel the first time, you got to hold down this button for 8 seconds, and that'll unlock the E channel. It should go solid, that means it's unlocked. Get the camera on, put it in the camera mount, just kind of slides right in there, and then plug in the little pigtail. Another thing is, as far as this antenna goes, some people mount them with them underneath the camera. I like to keep it above, so I just pull it up just so it's out of the way. And screw down the mount. And if you're losing one of these screws, check your motors. I had it many times where they're on the motor and I was looking forever for them. Throw the canopy on there. Okay, now to bind it to your controller, plug in a battery. It'll start flashing. Once it's flashing, then you just get your controller with it off still. You're going to push the bind button up top here, hold it down, and then turn it on. Keep the controller away from the tiny whoop. It just binds easier. Once it stops flashing, that means you're bound. One thing you want to do is set up where your meow mode is and your flying modes. I have a DX6 here. To do that, you go down to System Setup, hit yes, go down to Channel Assign, go to the Next, and then on your gear, that's going to be your flying modes. So, I mean, angle, acro, I think it's altitude or something like that. I have that on my G switch, which is going to be this top right here. You want it on a 3-way switch because there's 3 different flying modes. For meow mode and arming and disarming, it's auxiliary 1. I have that on my A switch, and that's going to be this one back here. Okay, real quick, to change the tail light color, you hold up on both sticks. It'll start flashing. Oh, there it goes. Okay, and then you press to the right to change through. To set it like that, you hold them down now, and then it will arm up. Disarm, just hit that switch up and down. Meow mode, when you're flipped over, you just push up and down with it and it'll flip over. And when you do crash, motors are still going to be spinning, so you'll want to disarm real quick, that switch, and then in the camera you'll see these 2 blink, and that means you're disarmed, and then hit that switch again, it'll flip over and it's armed and ready to go.